And good evening. This is Stan Deyo, your host for the evening. This is the 3rd of July, day before Independence Day, Friday, the 4th of July, 2025. This evening, I want to address an issue that is a growing influence on the daily life of people all over the planet. The Bible talks about the levels to heaven. There's where we live is, level two, and the level beneath us is, to home, the deep, where disembodied spirits and souls are kept, and the level three, which is the level above us, where Jesus and the hosts of the heavens live under the reign of our Creator. Now, the uh, world that we live in is a virtual reality created by those in the upper level above us. I'm pretty certain of that from what the Bible says, because Jesus and his Father and all the angels that are still there live above us in that level, and they live life many times faster than we do. So that a day for us might be 1,000 years of their time, and so they have all the time in the world to look at what happens down here at our level and to affect changes in our reality. Now, this is important because a lot of people think about heaven as this kind of nefarious thing out there somewhere, and they don't read the details of the Bible when it talks about the virtual reality. This world is where the body is, but then there's a spiritual world, which is the upper level. And so we've heard many times, in philosophical papers, that things happen as they are in the heavens, as above, so below. And I realized that what they were talking about is that our bodies and the environment around us, the buildings and the solid things, they are all created in the parallel universe to us up in the heavens, the third level. And so, in essence, we are like an entity that has been given sensors, touch and smell and sight and hearing, taste, all these things been given to us in a spacesuit, in essence, an environmental suit that we use in this environment, this digital world and universe that we live in. And I thought, well, now, okay, what happens like when we're talking to God in prayer and we think, oh, gee, I've got a wound here in this hand or a wound in the body somewhere, or I'm ill. And so you ask our Creator, you say, through His Son, Yeshua, you say, heal this part of my body that is broken. And sometimes, we saw results, and sometimes they were slow coming. And I thought, well, now, wait a minute. Suppose when we ask for the healing of our bodies or bodies around us, of the environment as well, when we do, we should ask our Creator to to rejuvenate not only our physical body, but our spiritual body, which is using this body as you know, um, a spacesuit, an environmental suit, in this virtual reality that's been created for us. It is quite an interesting concept, and I've been using this now for some time in prayer, healing various parts of my body and stuff, and rejuvenating discs in my back and that kind of stuff, and seeing much more results in the healing when I ask our Heavenly Father through His Son Yeshua to heal my body physically and spiritually, so that the two are in sync. And I have been pleasantly surprised about the difference I've seen in my body and my health, and in the environment and the family and friends that I pray for as well. So I've been watching what's happening for the last 4 or 5 years in the development of digital environments, of digital realities. And there's a company called Metaverse. There's other companies that create digital universes where they digitize, objects and even the outlines or the forms of animals and people and stuff like that, so they can create a realistic 3D image or universe that we can move around in with special gloves. We're given sensors that they have now then that sense the knuckles here and the fingers when they bend. These long strips of resistors are put on like that, and inside gloves and outside gloves as well, so that when you do this with your fingers, these motions are recorded in 3D space and translated into the virtual reality that they're creating for you. Um, so you have sensors on this body added to this body to allow you to touch and feel and turn and act, accordingly as though it were real life. You have sensors, your eyes. So you have a helmet that comes on with a special viewer that comes down, and so what you see in the virtual reality, is translated to your brain through your eye input. So we're seeing that our physical body is interacting with a digital body here in this virtual reality uh, where we live here, rather than in the upper levels where the creator lives. And I've found this quite amusing and challenging to view this, because what we're doing now is trying to create a body for us that is separate from our physical body. It's digital versus physical versus spiritual, which is, in the universe, parallel to us and higher energy density than us. Um, so I see us developing things to feed our optical sensor, to feed our tactile sensors. Actually, they've got vests and stuff. I'll show you a picture of that in a moment. One company has made a vest so that when you are in the digital world, the digital universe, and somebody hits you like that, the vest actually puts pressure on you like that to record a hit to you. Oh, so this impact is simulated, but you feel it. Strange thing indeed, strange thing. And then you have at this point auditory and visual and tactile senses being added. Um, the you don't have the problem of taste yet, but I'm sure they figured out a way to translate taste in your digital world to your physical world, so you can taste something. And, maybe drink something, so you can eat food and stuff in the digital world, but it won't help you in this body. These are an attempt to supplement our environmental suit, our body, physical body, with extended sensor range all over the planet. I suppose eventually it could be planet to planet, but it is a method to duplicate our body's functions in the digital world. And when you see this, you think, "Oh wow, that's tremendous," and then you realize that like 95% of organizations that are in digital world interact initiatives are emphasizing the nature of digitization across various industries. Like you can design things in 3D space and feel it and and weigh it, and you can have a boxing match with somebody virtually, and you can actually feel the impact on your body here. I don't think they've got one yet for your chin, but they're going that way, so that in essence you could spend your life, if you wanted to, disregarding things like having to shower or go to the bathroom or whatever. You could spend your whole life hooked up to a food tube, in a waste tube or something, and you'd be living out in the digital world. And you can see people, you can create how you look in that world. If you think you're too fat in this world, you can make a thin, trim, healthy, strong version of yourself called an avatar. And you live in that world, and other people have their avatars, how they want to be. And on a particular day, I mean, you can change your avatar to be a gorilla if you want to, but it allows you to live a fictional life, in essence. It's not real, but yet the effect on your mind and your memory is real. Um, they're making these whole body suits. In fact, let me see if I can just get you a picture of of the suits that we're talking about here. We got that suit there. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to share that with you here. Going to present this screen here. There. Okay. Now you're seeing one of the suits that they've designed. They've got these physical sensor or reverse sensors so that they can press on you and on an area of your chest, in this vest on your body. So when somebody punches you, it transfers that physical punch to this physical actuators here that press on your chest, and you feel it. Quite a fascinating thing. This is how let's see how it looks here all together. And they've got this so sensitive that you can feel raindrops, simulated raindrops on your suit and on arm extensions to that suit. It's just a fascinating thing. I was telling you that we have sensors to our eyes. This is a virtual reality sensor, so that it goes to our visual input and then to our audio input through our earphones here. And when we speak, our voice is transferred to the virtual reality through something like this. Just a fascinating thing. Um, the uh, the whole gear, when you put it on, looks something like this, so that you can have your boxing match or your anything that causes pressure variations, raindrops and whatever. They have sleeves that go to this so that you can also feel raindrops. And the way they transfer the sensation of a raindrop is they use that sweat of your skin, which is you've always got a little bit of moisture in your skin. That's just part of your natural process. And that is enough moisture to allow electricity to stimulate the nerves of your skin. And the whole thing is powered by, plugging into the wall. But still, when the digital world, somebody touches your skin in the digital world, you can feel it now because the pressure and the tactile sensation of that will be transferred to these electrodes that are on your skin. And they will stimulate the nerves in the skin, and you will feel as though it were real. I mean, you can extend this and say, you can hug somebody, you can shake their hand, and eventually, I suppose, you give them a cuddle or whatever like this, and you can feel it. And as things progress, we will have different kinds of sensors transferring pressure, temperature, moisture, all those kind of sensations, transferring it into the digital world and back to us in this physical world. The techniques at the moment are rather crude, but I am reasonably certain in the time in the near future, in fact, that we will see developments where we have a direct interface to the brain. Elon Musk has been talking about this already, having a chip that's put into your brain, and so you can interface to the internet, which means you can interface your brain directly to a virtual reality. So it can then stimulate and simulate things in your brain in various sensors areas that are now recording, temperature, taste, pain, pleasure, music. All these things can be stimulated directly through a chip in the brain, and that's where we're heading. And I find this to be a little bit troubling because, God created us in this environment and gave us this physical body as a suit to use to sense this reality. And, and our spiritual body is receiving the information and transmitting information to this body in this virtual reality. So what we think is reality is really a created or a virtual reality created by the creator in the universe outside and parallel to us, concentric to us. And we think that this is all there is to reality, but we don't realize that we're only in a limited environmental suit for this universe. It's just kind of an astounding thing to realize that we are now to the point where we're playing God with ourselves to generate artificial sensors for this body to live in a world that we create, in virtual space, in digital space. When you think about it, this is not a good thing. If you're a Christian or Bible student, you realize that Satan is trying to create chaos down here on the earth and to separate mankind from his relationship with our Creator and the Creator's Son, Yahshua. And one of the ways they're doing it, of course, is this advance into a digital age where you have digital cash, not real cash, but digits, in a system that runs, worldwide. And pretty soon that's going to be a global currency situation. Very soon, in fact, when world economies start to collapse. And will be eager to transfer into this digital realm as far as our buying and selling of things, because it means that nobody can steal our money and our credit cards and stuff. It's all digital and all tracked by whoever's in control of the global computer system. Now, using these virtual reality systems, which is what they are, they're, at this point they're limited to currency transactions, but just that requires so much power that there are teams dedicated to developing a way to have um, a digital currency system, bitcoins and stuff like that, that are transferring, or they're developing a way so that the energy required to transfer, digital money back and forth is much less than it is now, because now then we're having to look at huge nuclear reactors or power generators for electric systems to supply the power required to run all these computer servers that are needed globally to exchange money back and forth. Just that, and it's not even handling if we are connected to the virtual reality through these brain chips or whatever. You can imagine how much more taxing that will be, and so energy requirements will be huge. So, in essence, only a limited number of people on the planet at the moment would be able to go into full body, simulations, because the energy required would be just too big. And so it will be those people probably in the beginning in the New World Order who, are appointed, important enough or rich enough or whatever to afford this interface. Because of the power requirements. And eventually, the AI analysis of our world and its living forms will say that we have too many humans and too many animals, and we need to cull them with a disease, a COVID type thing, or some variant of it, to wipe out useless eaters, according to the planners of the New World Order. So you can see here that once you're into the digital universe, your thoughts, your sensations, stuff can be affected or controlled by whoever controls the servers, the computer servers that are inputting data to you and receiving data from you. And this gives those in charge, like Satan and his minions, the ability to change your personality, to influence you when you're asleep and when you're awake, and to grant your wishes and dreams to have a life as a sailor, for instance, on a sailing ship. And you can pick the century and the technology, whatever. I mean, you'd live what Star Trek used to call a holodeck. And in essence, we do have light, coming into our visual input. And but as far as being able to feel punches and sensations of touch and fire and cold and heat, all that stuff, you can't do that with photons. But what they have developed already is a treadmill that runs sideways and opposite to that, one long conveyor belt, and that's the one rubber belt is like a treadmill. So that when you walk in virtual reality, but walking on this moving or a movable platform, that as you step, it will record that you've stepped, say 3 feet in this direction. And so in your visor, you will see that you've gone 3 foot into the virtual reality, and you can go as far as you want, stepping, 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 causing this floor, this rubber mat with a long band in it to move in such a manner that you can see the horizon and you can walk 5 miles that way without ever moving off of your treadmill. You just move the treadmill 5 miles, the belt on it, and you're in that far distant place, which is like in Star Trek, when you're in a holodeck, you can see a moonrise on Saturn, one of its moons, or, Saturn rise or moonrise, or in Jupiter. You can go places that you can only imagine. And you can set um, safety limits with how much force is used in your environmental suits and stuff, and then and into your brain, any input energies of any sort from the interface. You can have safety protocols so that you can get shot in the virtual reality and you can feel it, and but you're in essence simulated to a point where it doesn't cause your body to shut down because of a bullet wound, but you do feel it, or you will, in this virtual reality suit. So this is how a holodeck in Star Trek can become reality. It's you just didn't see, like on the holodeck floor, You didn't see that there was this treadmill type thing that you could walk and move great distances, and you didn't see the interface to your brain, which allows you to see that reality in the holodeck. So in essence, even though it's not using photons to create mass and inertia and various reactions to your environment, it is allowing that environment to react with you digitally into your brain, so that you think that you're, in a solid, environment, whatever you create in your universe, your virtual reality. I think this is dangerous. It just allows people to create a life for themselves external to this body, where you can fly, you're Superman, Supergirl, whatever, and you just don't want to live in this body much. You want to be out there in that virtual reality. So it's going to create virtual reality sicknesses of sort, psychological sicknesses. Um, I remember that Dr. or Captain Barclay, whatever his name was, Lieutenant Barclay in Star Trek, how he had this holodeck addiction, where he would rather be there and experience life than on his ship, with his crew doing things. And so you can see that Jean-Luc Picard didn't take kindly to that, because the guy was away too much from his real world jobs, because he was enjoying, the fake world. And this can happen to us here. We can have it like a drug, using this virtual reality, that people want to go here because they can be pretty, they can be rich, they can be a sailor, they can be an astronaut, they can be anything you want at any time, any century, in this virtual reality that they create. Um, in essence, you become like a form of our creator, in that you create your life, your environment, but it's fake. And studying this phenomenon lets us see that we are experiencing this virtual world that we live in, this universe, this metaverse. We're experiencing it because our creator has given us sensors to allow us to feel like we're in this world here, and that's all there is. But in essence, this is, remember, an environmental sensor suit that is feeding data back to our spiritual existence in the third heaven. Um, and things that we have to do here to eat and drink and all that stuff are all part of the simulation that God has created for us, to let us progress in our spiritual development, and in the upper level, the heavens, the third level. Yeah, it's okay. Now I want to direct you to a, a preacher, Dr. Gene Kim, Kim, who talks about the metaverse we've been talking about, revealed in the book of Revelation. And we're looking here at his YouTube presentation. I don't know whether you can hear the sound. I'll just turn it over a second. Now, I'll turn this on like this, caption, and I'll do that. Now, then you can see the text of what he's saying. Now, what he does is he goes in the book of Revelation to show relationships to a virtual reality in the upper world, like I've been talking about in our level of existence, level 2, I guess. And let's just go up here. I'm going to go up and go along here, and he covers various things, but some of the most interesting things here uh, is the definition of meta, and he also covers the rapture of the church. Uh, and they talk about a future revelation, rapture, and that it will happen before the the metaverse is taken over by Satan, which includes our world, our universe, and whatever. And I found his, Dr. Kim's treatment of this quite fascinating, quite interesting, and very well based in Scripture. If I'm being picky, there might be the odd thing I would differ with him on a translation or whatever, but that's minor. So I do encourage you to go to this place. It's look for metaverse in the book of Revelation, Dr. Gene Kim, and then go and view this video, which is about just a little over an hour long. And I think you will find it, in agreement with what I've been saying here about parallel universes and virtual reality and digital existence. It helps us to understand really about a rapture where you could be removed from this physical world and go back to your spiritual being only because you don't need this physical body anymore. You can discard it and continue as your spiritual being in the upper levels, the third heaven. Anyway, uh, there's so much in here that leads to the definition of the beast, and about how the the beast is an AI supercomputer creating environmental situations that are not real for the people of Earth that are in the feedback systems that have these environmental suits to allow them to experience what is happening. I'm just going to close that off there and stop the screen share here. Come back to see you. Okay. Now, um, as I've said, this is an incredible speech by this guy, Dr. Kim, and I encourage you to do it. But I also encourage you to do a Google search. I'm going to get that screen for you here on this virtual reality business, and search for Digital Universe 2025 current developments in this digital universe, because we're heading for that. We're heading for this digital world, which is not reality. And that doesn't serve you well, because you'll start to abandon your physical body here and want to be in this environmental world. But search for Digital Universe 2025, and you'll see places to go. Digital Universe at VJOON and .com, and there are more places. Questions about the trends in 2025. I mean, as I've said, we can use virtual reality now then to do all kinds of work in design, um, you know, uh, interacting with digital parts that we can feel and move around to build a new kind of engine or, a new kind of house. Or in medical things, you can get feedback with a virtual reality system where you can feel the patient's temperature and where he's hurting and stuff like that. You can touch it with this virtual reality, and you can do surgery seeing inside the body with various sensors that are around the body and that fit into your virtual reality. And I suppose in time you'll be able to feel what the patient is feeling in its sensory organs, or seeing or whatever. And as a doctor, you'll be able to temporarily sense what the patient is sensing, so you know, if I push here in the abdomen, that is, causing pain, and that means that probably appendicitis or whatever. So you can use it in medicine, you can use it in technology, and developing, microbes, viruses, things that you probably don't use in normal life, but you get down into a microscopic level and you can walk through atoms connecting and through molecular structures, and you can create molecules by pulling this part over and joining to that in a virtual environment and see how it reacts to its neighbors and what the resulting product is. And I'll just stop that there. Okay, and now I stress the importance of realizing that we live in a virtual reality that is, um, created by our Creator in the third heaven, and the necessary interface that you have with our Creator, the programmer of our environment and what we are. Um, when you pray for things to happen, remember to pray that they happen to not only this physical body, but primarily to the spiritual body that will be reflected in this body. Um, as I say, I've prayed for various things of late in healing my body, rejuvenating it. And now I'm 80 years old, and I still, have aches and pains of an 80-year-old, but the skin and the eyes and things are all kind of working, and I feel in my mind quite young. So I do encourage you to adopt this attitude to our Creator and ask for things of that Creator, of our Creator, in His world, in His heaven, to be manifest in this physical world. And you'll see more results. I'm pretty sure I've seen it, and I prayed for others and for things to happen. And just realizing that you're addressing the programmer, the great programmer in the third heaven, to do certain things or to help certain things transpire in this physical reality, or virtual reality. And when you do that, you're going to get better results. That's all I can say at this point in time. And I encourage you to do that when you pray for people who are ill or who need financial help, or who are prisoners and slaves. Hopefully, all this will come to an end at the end of the 7-year tribulation period, which I think we're moving into. This is, this is July, early July 2025. This year, we may see things happen by the end of September, or by the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah. The rapture may occur, and the world may be diluted by a fake invasion from space of our elder brothers from space, flying saucers and whatever. And it will be much like the TV movie and series called V, that was done in the mid 70s. This movie had the aliens coming, to help Earth, share technology in return for some seawater they needed on their planet or whatever. And you see all these human-like, beings on this big spacecraft, or several of them, in fact. They come down to Earth and they say, "Look, we mean you no harm. We're come here to help." And in the progress of the series and the movie, this fake skin on them is peeled off, and you see that they're really reptilian, lizard-like people underneath this appearance of being human. Now, whether that's going to be put upon the people of Earth for real, or whether it's just going to be human-like beings we've heard reports of, these tall Nordic-looking humans that are quite handsome and beautiful, or not, I don't know. But they will come bearing us gifts, and they will promise things like, we'll get rid of the deep state, the Illuminati that have been running the planet for generations, and we'll bring you peace here. We'll stop nuclear war because we can stop all nuclear bombs. And this has already been shown to be, they can do that. They can stop our missiles in their silos from their saucers, just coming close and stopping them. So they're going to promise a lot of things and do a lot of things that will impress the people of Earth that don't know better. But I tell you this, the elder brothers in space is a fake, because they are from the third heaven above us, where God dwells, and they've been cast down into our environment, into the second heaven, long time ago, and they had to rebuild technologies they couldn't bring through the gate, from the upper universe to ours. And so they've been encouraging mankind to, develop technologies and manufacturing and stuff over the generations, giving information and designs to various individuals to move the human race toward a technological level that will allow the uh, fallen ones from the upper levels, Satan's followers, to generate the technologies they need here to make war against our Creator. And that war will be fought here in this virtual reality. So the results of it will not harm the third heaven level, and but the shooting and fighting that will occur here between Satan's armies and those of our Creator and His Son, Joshua, the damage will be done here in this virtual reality. So it will not be allowed to affect the third heaven where real life occurs. I know it sounds kind of disjointed, but I'm just trying to bring in thoughts as they come to me about this. Anyway, we're going to see that with all the Earth being at a fever pitch, nuclear war starting to happen on a global basis over Iran, probably, or maybe over a nuke in Damascus, somewhere related to Iran. This will put the nations of the world on a panic level, thinking we're about to have a nuclear war that will destroy humanity and most of the biostructures here on this planet. And at that moment, I think the rapture will occur to remove those of us that are aware of this deception coming, and would tell the people of Earth that don't know better, wait, don't believe the lie. This group of alien UFO elder brothers from space stuff is a deception, that we won't be able to influence the world. We'll be gone. And the our bodies may be here but not functioning, but it's dead bodies or whatever, or they may translate back up into the upper level. I don't know. But when this happens, the world is going to say, "Will someone help us? Can you stop this nuclear war? Can you, stop the diseases and the asteroid problems and the solar eruptions? Can you help us?" And that's when Satan and his minions will manifest, and they will get rid of the deep state, the Illuminati. They will get rid of the little gray and the tall gray critters that have been abducting people, and some of the reptilians perhaps that have been abducting people as well. And people will be marveling at their technology and will be thankful for their help, and will allow themselves to be put into a global system of digital economy and being run by a central authority over in maybe Turkey or in the Middle East somewhere, in Saudi Arabia maybe, but there will be a world government centered over in that part of the world, and there will be a human leader for that. Um, I was watching the news the other day where President Trump was told by, what was it, a UN officer or somebody anyway, saying, called him daddy, will step in and stop the squabbling children. I've used this analogy myself, and so has President Reagan when he was alive here. The various feuding nations, we have 196 or so nations that are in the United Nations, and you can't get any 3 or 4 of them to agree on how to make a cup of tea, much less how to run, a peaceful planet. And so the way to unify them is to present a common threat to them from, a source they can't trace any background to, like aliens from space. And that's what President Reagan mentioned when he said at the United Nations. He said, "What we need now is an invasion of little green men." And in essence, it's the analogy of, the brothers and sisters fighting in their room, in their bedroom before they go to sleep at night, making noise. And the dad of the house comes in and says, "Children, stop all the fighting and go to sleep." And he goes back to his room, and the children start fighting and yelling and throwing pillows and stuff. He comes in and boom, opens the bedroom door, and he says, "Right, if you don't stop, it's the belt." Well, they suddenly realize that they're threatened with something that they don't want. And so they go to bed, they go to sleep, and they're at peace because dad has come in and said, "Stop the feuding, or I will give you something that you won't like." So that psychology is going to be played on the earth. And I kind of laughed when I saw that being said of President Trump, because in essence, he's pulling that at the moment, saying, I'll withhold loans, or I'll raise your tariffs or something to various nations, saying, if you guys don't get along, I'm going to do this to hurt you. And so that analogy was not lost on me, and certainly it was a takeoff of President Reagan, and as Trump has done on many things that were Reagan ideas, uh, you know, back in Reagan's time. It was a common sense approach to what is happening. Now, if you don't believe there's a creator and don't believe there's a heaven and a hell, you could very easily say, "I'll support this alien invasion, alien masters if they're friendly to us, because it will bring peace to the earth. If you don't know better, you'll accept what they bring, but it will lead to your destruction ultimately." However, there will be a number of persons on the earth during that tribulation period of 7 years that will realize they're being deceived by Satan and his minions, the elder brothers from space type stuff, and they will then drop out of the system. They won't be able to own property or buy and sell. They're going to be outcast in society, like outlaws, and they will suffer this uh, this period of time outside the rest of humanity without the benefits of the civilizations at that time. Uh, I know there will be 144,000 Billy Graham types that will be from the 12 tribes of Israel during that time, and they will wander the planet performing miracles through the Holy Spirit and witnessing to people, especially other members of the Jewish community of the traditional house of Israel, that Jesus is their Messiah, was their Messiah, and that they made a mistake by not supporting him. And so there will be places to live and food to eat. I've even seen dream visions of people during that time that were rebelling against the system that is going to grip the world. And they were, I saw a log cabin out in the bush somewhere in the evening. It was mealtime and there was no food to eat. And so everybody sat around the table with empty bowls. And then I guess it was one of the 144,000 prayed and said, let there be food for these people here. And the dishes just filled up with food that they could eat. So what they needed is food and is warmth and shelter was supplied by our Creator. So that's good news for those of you that aren't caught up in the rapture. You'll be able to be helped by the 144,000 Jewish evangelists who will have the power of our Creator at their disposal to help you and to shield you from those who would have you beheaded for your belief. All right, I am going to pause here. The missus has said dinner's on the table, so I better run over and do that. And I'll get back and finish this recording in about an hour or so. So hang in there. I've thought about people having near-death experiences. Um, they seem to go out of the body, and those that go up, they go through a kind of a dark fluid-like material, like silky. And I wonder if this is a way they're traveling back up the connectors between their consciousness here and the third heaven. When I left my body in '69 and went up and out, certainly I didn't go all the way back up to the third level, to the third heaven. It was up there, but I was in between the two, looking at displays of the things I'd done in my life to various people and what they'd done to me, and judging my own life like an impartial judge. But I started thinking, about this rapture thing and how easy it would be for the Creator to just simply cut off our interface for all of us that are going to be collected to be with Him, and we leave these virtual bodies we've been given here and resume life in the heavens in our digital, not in our digital, but in our spiritual bodies. It's interesting to look at this. There have been reports of people saying that they saw a cloud-like mist rise up from people's bodies when they were dying or just as they died, and that went up toward the ceiling and then disappeared. Some have seen a ball of light pop out of the chest of the person dying and bouncing around inside of a glass cage. I was over in Asia, and then breaking the glass and proceeding up out of this second heaven that we're in. So there are things that do indicate that we can leave the body behind, but the spirit part can travel to the third heaven. Interesting thoughts about it all. I hope you can join me in these thoughts and perhaps email me if you've got your own experiences and thoughts on this at standeyo@standeyo.com. I do recall when I left my body that I sprung up out of my solar plexus area, straight up and out through that silky darkness. And so it showed that I was leaving the body and going out there, but I was connected to the body, as I found out later toward the end of the experience. There was a rope, a shiny semi-metallic rope, connecting my body from, I think, the abdomen region to my body back on Earth, my physical body. And so I can see how people uh, could be fooled if this happens to everyone during the rapture. And the Christian's spirit leaves their body and travels up and out, leaving the body behind. There would be some kind of a explanation given that a certain genetic type virus had hit the world, and people whose gene structure was such and such would have been killed, and then their souls sent elsewhere. Easy to believe if you're left behind. And the alternate explanation, which is in the Bible, is that you're left behind because you weren't, with following Jesus. It's easy to think, well, okay, I wasn't taken because, you know, uh, I wasn't good or anything like that. It was just simply a virus that hit these people and disappeared. So I do think we'll leave our bodies behind, but our soul, our spirit, will leave the body and go from the second heaven level to the third heaven level, which is above us. Anyway, it's just my ramblings, and I share them with you that hopefully you'll be able to relate them to your own experiences or experiences of your friends that have had near-death experiences, and realize that all is not as it seems. Our physical existence here is not reality. Um, it is a simulation where we are allowed to interact with it. So, anyway, okay. I wanted to put in some things here, current events as far as earthquakes, volcanoes, etc., on the planet, and the solar behavior. And by the way, I'll also talk about a new interstellar object that is in our solar system from outside the solar system, obviously, like Oumuamua did a couple years back. But it's a new object that is about 12, a little over 12 miles in diameter, has entered our system, which should be of interest to the scientists for a while to see what the heck that is. I'm just going to share some screen here. We're going to call in this thing here. Okay, we're looking here at an earthquake map for New Zealand as of yesterday. Well, today actually, but yesterday, our time, Thursday, well, Friday is June. Oh, yeah, sorry, the date here is wrong. It shows this was from Friday, June 27th. Okay. But this is actually being recorded on Thursday evening here, our time, which would be July the 3rd. Anyway, um, this is a map of a series of small quakes that occurred in New Zealand, North Island, at the base of Mount Ruapehu volcano. And you can just see that here. We'll get in as close as we can. All right, there is the volcano. And these three earthquakes, maybe four, occurred back in late June, which indicates there's some activity, between, let's see, between the fault line zipper, which runs down here from White Island, which you can't see, all the way down through Lake Taupo and down and underneath this. And so I'm saying there's a possibility of some increased activity under Mount Ruapehu. I remember flying over it in a small aircraft with the pilot and I going over the very top of Mount Ruapehu here. And this was while I was still in Australia. So I was back, 26 or 7 years. I forget exactly how long, but anyway, it was at least 27 years, I guess it was. And as we looked out of the plane window, we were flying over this boiling kind of yellowish green fluid that was bubbling in the top of the volcano. It turns out to be sulfuric acid. And it was fairly active at the time, throwing a few stones over the side toward this part of the Mount Ruapehu. But anyway, it was a bit of a tight sphincter moment as we realized if we had a failure or an eruption at that point, we'd be covered in, sulfuric acid if we crashed into it or if it blew up into our faces. But that was, 3 decades or so ago. But we still watch this because the dream visions I've had and several other Christian folk have had is that right here uh, in Lake Taupo, about right here, there's going to be an eruption of a super volcano. But before it happens, what will happen is that there'll be a crack open up here, and all this water of Lake Taupo will drain down into a hot magma pool, and then it will explode, boom, up like, a super volcano. The Maori natives there in New Zealand have told us the prophecy one has told me that they understand this is going to happen, and that the signs of it will be a scandal and a failure of a dam in China, where people used substandard materials, wood, etc., for building a dam, a tributary dam, maybe to the Three Gorges Dam, and it fails. And when that happens, know that the volcano is about to erupt here at Lake Taupo. And if you're in the area, even in the North Island, it's probably time to get out of there. Anyway, that's the update on the possibility of the super volcano in New Zealand, North Island. Now, this is the current earthquake map. It's just been updated. You see the United States here, and an area of interest is, of course, I showed you the New Zealand thing here, but out north of New Zealand, there's a series of quakes on these fault lines here. You can see the old fault lines, but as yet they don't see any earthquakes showing currently in North Island. The other I showed you was at the end of June. So, okay, looking here, we don't see any activity that is of worry at the moment, or unusual. Let's see here what we've got over here. Here's the states. I come here often to look at the Swan de Fuca plate, which is all that, because all along here is where we expect this part of the seafloor of the North Pacific to slide underneath, the top of the craton here of North America, and bring down, the edge of the coast here, but also release a lot of volcanic activity in, volcanoes from Washington to Oregon and all the way down to Popocatépetl, easy for me to try to say, down here in near Mexico City. Somewhere in here is Popo. I think this one and several others up along the California coast will be erupting simultaneously when it starts. And so that's why we watch for earthquakes here, volcanoes underneath here, which have been active for a while. Don't know if we've got anything here on that volcano. Guess not. Okay. Another thing that's been on my mind here, and any of us that are familiar with the communist tactics for overthrowing a government, on, earlier this week, on the 1st of July, it looks like, they were doing a report on this Zoran Mamdani and his U.S. citizenship. Apparently, he was only naturalized U.S. citizen in 2018. And because of his behavior, which is truly un-American, by supporting really socialist and communist platform, because of this, the Department of Justice, that they are reviewing his acceptance as a U.S. citizen with a view to being able to kick him out of the country or let him not hold the office of mayor of New York City if he were to win. It's a real worry to those of us who study the communist methods. But anyway, this is the guy that we have to watch, and to see him come to this position, nominated in the Democratic Party is astounding. That I'm in America watching this. If my dad were still alive, I'm sure he'd put his fist through the television screen when he saw this. I'm not going to do that because TV's too far to reach right now. It's a liquid crystal thing, so it wouldn't do the same thing it would for my dad. Anyway, you have a good 4th of July tomorrow. And Lord willing, I will see you next week with another chat about what's going on around us. Lord bless you all now. Take care.
Free.